So I got a question at askbillhartman@gmail.com about arm training for athletes. And they want to know, what's my opinion in regards to arm training for athletes? Is it important? Is it even necessary? So let's talk about that. I think there's potentially a few mistakes that people are making with arm training, especially in consideration to an athlete that may have very specific needs in regard to the performance of their sport. And so we have to take those things into consideration. So let's talk about 3 common mistakes. Mistake number 1, considering arm training a throwaway. You wouldn't consider your lower body training to be a throwaway. Why should we consider arm training to be a throwaway? Can we make it useful? And I think we can. But we always have to consider the secondary consequences of every activity that we select for our athletes. We always have to understand that there are secondary consequences to every activity that we perform. Even if it's not our intention, these consequences can occur. You may have written the best training program ever, but it may be ruined by not considering the secondary consequences of the arm training that you're selecting. It sounds silly to say this, but don't forget that the arm is attached to the rest of the body. So we're going to have other influences that alter neck range of motion, shoulder range of motion, the ability of the upper ribs to move, the scapular position, the way that the athlete breathes. All of these influences need to be taken into consideration. Some of these secondary consequences may show up as something else. So before you blame the rotator cuff for being weak, you may want to take into consideration the fact that maybe it's your programming. Maybe it's the way that you're using arm training to appease your athlete's desire for aesthetics rather than chasing something that may be useful in their performance. Mistake number 2. You have to consider the orientation of the body as your athlete is performing their arm training. You may have the perfect intent and even selected an appropriate exercise, but because of the orientation of the body, you're not going to get the desired effect. For instance, if I invert the athlete to perform some form of triceps activity, I can actually enhance their ability to expand the upper rib cage. This improves shoulder flexion and neck range of motion. Not only am I enhancing their ability to produce force through the upper extremity, but I'm enhancing their ability to maintain their ranges of motion under duress. Mistake number 3. Not paying attention to the orientation of the humerus, the forearm, and the hand. The relative position of the forearm to the humerus is very important in regards to elbow health. So people that complain about medial and lateral elbow pain, especially with your baseball pitchers, they may have trouble controlling this orientation. Once again, I can teach them to control the orientation of the upper extremity under duress if I load the extremity in the appropriate position. So now, not all curls are created equal. Not all triceps exercises are created equal. The orientation is going to matter. Consider a baseball pitcher who can't orient his hand appropriately to get the appropriate spin on the baseball. If I can select the right upper extremity activity during arm training, I may actually be able to enhance their ability to recapture all the movement options in the hand, the thumb, the wrist, and the forearm. Ultimately, this may result in the ability to perform at their potential. Arm training for athletes is not a throwaway. It's not just about the aesthetics. It's about how it influences the entire movement system. So we always have to take that into consideration. Arm training is as important as any other aspect of the training process. In the next episodes, we're going to take a look at specific exercises and how they may favorably or unfavorably affect the movement system. Exercise selection always matters. If there's an exercise that you'd like analyzed and broken down to see how you can utilize it more effectively, put it in the comments section below.